And I'm Christian. Yeah, the first thing I want to go over, though, is that with not being able to trade guys outside of that taxi squad or the main 40-man roster, it was harder for teams to get deals done since they couldn't trade away a lot of their minor leaguers and a lot of their key prospects. So it's important to keep that in mind as we go through these trades and wonder why we've seen so many to be named laters, or why aren't we seeing a lot of big guys being traded. It's because they really couldn't be traded to some degree. Yeah, it's a weird season. There are some teams that don't know where they are and where they stand. They don't know if they want to compete because there's some teams that are like, "Oh, we're in the playoff contention," like the Giants. I think we were all a little surprised that the Giants didn't make a single trade, pretty much. And we know Gosman, Cueto, even guys like Longoria probably had some sort of interest from other teams at the deadline. I was surprised. Mm, mm-hmm. Mm, which I don't think is a bad approach at all, especially if you're a team like the Giants. You don't know how far you are away from contending. This could still gain some interest from more casual fans who don't really understand what the Giants are going through in a rebuilding phase. They don't know how far they are away from actually contending for a championship. I think this can be interesting for teams like that. I think it could also be interesting for a team like the Reds that maybe they're not playing as well this year, but they could sneak into the playoffs and then they get hot at the right time. Boom, they're right back in contention. Momentum is huge in baseball. Yeah, I agree. I like the Goodwin deal. I think it'd be more of a DH. But the thing I'm seeing about this Reds team is that they have a lot of not good defenders. Castellanos, now Goodwin. I, I I think in the long run that could really hurt them. But Goodwin is just about as good as he gets against righties. I think it's a good pickup. Bradley brings that electricity in the back of the pen, which they desperately needed. Obviously, the rotation's top notch. Doesn't get much better than that. It's elite. It's proven at this point. Even Castillo's not even playing that well, and it's still elite. This team has a lot of potential. We'll see what happens. I still think they should have made some more deals for more bullpen arms. I like what other teams did, like the Phillies. They made some good deals for relievers because they desperately need. David Phelps is probably the most underrated deal this entire deadline. I do like that. I agree. It's just interesting to know where David Phelps ranks in some of these percentiles based on Statcast. Exit velocity, he's in the 100th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 95% percentile. K percentage, 98th percentile. These are numbers you probably don't even know. Most people don't even know who David Phelps is. He's a finesse arm. And I think it's a dying art. I feel like, sinker, cutter, slider, changeup, guys who aren't relying on just straight heat, straight gas. Guys like this are still so valuable and they're so effective. This is by far one of my favorite moves of the whole entire deadline. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like you were mentioning earlier, they wanted the perfect deal for Hader. Obviously, he garnered tons of interest. The Yankees, the Dodgers, the Padres were all up in it. They wanted it. I just don't think they got the deal they were looking for. I'm sure they tried to reach with some big prospects, big players. That probably had a lot of... Because think about it. Josh Hader is under control until he's... I think 6 more years he's under control. 4 to 6 more. Something insane. He's a huge piece to give up. He's a piece of that future for the Brewers or any other team that would acquire him. But the thing is, yeah, you're right. It's only 10 innings, but they've barely played a little over 30 games. That's a lot for only 30 games. Yes, another thing to note about Josh Hader, he's still hitless through 2020. He has not given up a hit. He has some earned runs. His previous start before tonight, he had 5 walks and he gave up 2 earned runs. That's obviously one big weakness of his, but he's so deceptive. His fly ball rates are insane. His strikeout rate's insane. If he can just locate and just stay in the strike zone, it's easier than it sounds. It's way harder than I'm putting it. But God, he's just so good. No. There's still some glaring issues. And I think if you're an Indians fan, you should at least be thankful they didn't trade away Lindor. I just don't think they would have ever gotten the right deal for Lindor. Yeah, again, we keep on mentioning the same exact theme here. Teams would only do it if it was the perfect deal. Especially with these higher teams, they want to stay under that luxury tax because that is a huge blow to any front office, especially the owner if they are above that luxury tax threshold. It's a big blow to the team. I think they'll sneak in. They'll sneak in, but I don't see them going any farther than the first round. And I think they have even some pieces on offense too. Carlos Santana, obviously on base machine. Lindor. I just think the farm system also being that weak also prohibits them so much. They could have made some deals. Mitch Moreland was a guy they probably should have tried to go get. Brian Goodwin, guys that I didn't even think Brian Goodwin would be on the market, but great trade by the Reds again. But see, those are guys that teams like the Indians, if they really do want to compete, they can't let slide. And like you mentioned, the rotation's so good. But the other thing we haven't even talked about is how good the back end of the bullpen is. Karinchak and Brad Hand have proven to be a dominant 1-2 punch. Yeah, he's been solid. He's been sneaky good this year. Well, first of all, they mortgage their future. As a fan of the Dodgers, I hate to see it, but I love to see it at the same time. I think they're going to give the Dodgers a run for their money. I just don't see them as a complete team yet. I do love every single move they made. Between Mitch Moreland, Trevor Rosenthal, Mike Clevenger, I don't see a bad deal that they made. I think Trevor Rosenthal might end up being the best trade that they'll make. Even though he's a rental reliever, with Kirby Yates out, Drew Pomeranz, we don't know what's going to happen with his role. He'll probably be a backup to a setup man, but Trevor Rosenthal, and he made his debut tonight for the Padres, looked excellent. I think that's going to end up being the best trade for them. But I love Clevenger. Obviously, he's only been really healthy for 1 year, and we saw how good he was that 1 year. He was elite. It's going to be tough. They have plenty of years of control on him. If he could stay healthy, that Padres rotation is going to be sneaky good, especially with their top prospect, top 5 prospect. I think Mackenzie Gore hasn't even made his debut yet. So Garrett Richards looking good. Danielson Lamet. This team's looking dangerous. They're very underrated still. Yeah, I think Zach Davies is the perfect. Yeah, no, Trent Grisham. That wasn't even the first guy I was going to mention, but he's been on a tear lately. Any neater. I think that's exactly what you need at the back end of your rotation. Not someone who's going to, lights out 6 innings, 12 strikeouts. He's gonna get you ground balls. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna get 5 to 6 innings, 2, 3 run ball. That's exactly what you need at the back end of your rotation. You take that 7 out of 7 times. We'll see. I still think they have to prove themselves, especially with that bullpen, the back end of that bullpen still. As much as I love Trevor Rosenthal and I like Drew Pomeranz, without Kirby Yates, I think that's a huge blow. I think so. I think it's very possible they make a postseason run. I just the one thing I don't like about the Padres they made this deadline was the Austin Nola trade. I think Austin Nola is good. You have years of control on him, but giving up Taylor Trammell, Andres Munoz, it makes me cringe. That was, yeah, Munoz is. Still, you cannot deny his raw talent though, his raw athleticism. Very true. Very, very true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And also getting Jason Castro too. I don't understand that. Yeah, I don't understand that. That's what those two deals really baffled me. They really did. I. Mm, yeah, that is dumb. The thing is, too, is that might not sound like they're like, oh, but it's not their top 10. It's not their top 5. That fit system is so deep that those 10, 11, 12s can be 2, 3, 4s in other systems so easily. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. And sometimes you see guys picked in what, the 36th round end up being all-stars, MVPs. It, yeah. Yeah, it, it it's disappointing. If you're a Padres fan, you can't help but feel almost you have like mixed feelings about the trade deadline. You should feel happy, but looking back on it, you think, what if they don't win? What if they miss out on Tatis's prime? What if Manny Machado's $300 million contract goes to waste? What if you waste one of the best closers in baseball? There's so many ifs with this team. This can either make or break this franchise for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a different beast. It's impossible to predict as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. Another big team that just like went in nuts this deadline. Blue Jays. I was shocked. I was shocked. Yeah. I Well, yet to be seen. Yet to be seen on the if they gave up nothing. The Ross Stripling. Oh, Robbie Ray is completely a reformation project. You see the ERA and you think, why would you trade for a guy like that? Then you see he has 13 Ks per 9 innings, and you see, okay, that's why. The man just can't throw strikes. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a sneaky deal. I just want to go back to why did the Orioles release him in the first place? That still baffles me to this day. Still, what is what it is. Good pickup by the Marlins in the first place, and that's probably exactly what they had in mind, is pick him up. Hopefully someone would need him at the deadline. Keep building up that farm system. Even if it's just minor guys like that, I think it's a good deal for both sides. Jonathan VR could be a valuable asset to them, especially depending on how long Bo Bichette's going to be out. Mm-hmm. No, 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 no. Defensively, he's been really good these past few years. No. Well, it's realistic. Yeah. Stripling was also interesting. That was that last minute deal. I was shocked. I, that's what I'm thinking. Gonsolin has impressed. Every single start he's made this year, he's impressed me. I think they're like he's ready. He's been ready. He's ready, more ready than Urias right now. Urias is struggling. Bueller is struggling right now. Those are two big guys that they need to step up. It's their time now. These are former top prospects. It's now their time to step up and be the front end of the rotation that they were meant to be. May has the stuff. He's starting to get there. I think. See, that's what we said about Bueller though a few years back, and look at him. Look at him now. I want him starting game 1. I want him starting game 7. I don't care. That's why I wanted him out as Walker Bueller. No, Walker Bueller. I'm saying that in the playoffs, it's a whole different animal, a whole different beast. We don't know what type of player Dustin May will be in the playoffs. We don't. It's impossible to predict. Now, I still don't understand why they traded him away. Hopefully they got at least something good back. I think they just want Gonsolin. They want to give Gonsolin a chance. I'm not saying Stripling's been good this year. He has never been the same after that All-Star season in 2018. I understand what you're saying, but also you have to remember about the salary, their salary cap, too. They want to be under that luxury tax threshold, and I think Ross Stripling was probably pretty close to taking them over that status. I think it's just funny. I think that front office is a joke. Giving up Caleb Smith. No, they have no 2021. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think the only logic I can use is that they want to flip him again next year, thinking that they got him for a bargain. Other than that, I see no reason. Yeah. Exactly. They won't get in. Trust me. When they start playing more games, we'll see the true colors of the Miami Marlins. This was a joke. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we said last year though. Remember when they traded away Greinke? And here they are back in the same situation. We're gonna see how many times they're gonna make great deals. They're gonna keep on stacking up on the farm system. Wow. When you say it out loud, it doesn't seem real, but mm. Mm. Big F for every team though, right? I mean, I think that's pretty much every deal, right? Yeah. Well, the A's went out and got Mike Minor, which I think is the most typical Billy Bean move. We see, lefty any eater for the middle of the rotation. More of, I think the Angels took a gamble because Tommy La Stella has been good. He was good last year before he broke his leg. And this year he's been solid. Franklin Barreto, obviously he's never gotten a real chance in the major leagues, but he was so good in the minors. Yeah, that's. I guess they didn't really need. I just don't know what the Angels are doing. They just signed Rendon to a $245 million contract or whatever it was. Why wasn't Bundy on the market then? I don't understand. They have one more year of control after this with Bundy. Why not part with him? I'm sure a team would be dying to get their hands on someone like that. I think that's probably why a lot of teams didn't do it. But I'm saying, like, if the Blue Jays traded for Ross Stripling, why wouldn't they want Dylan Bundy? Ross Stripling has been, in my opinion, awful this year. He has the best bullpen behind him. He has one of the best lineups in baseball in front of him. He can't seem to win games when he's on the mound. Not really. I just feel like there weren't a whole lot of big dogs on the market that those contenders need to actually catapult them into a better position than they already were in. They don't want to give up more assets than they already have given up. Even like Gossman, I think the Giants might have wanted too much for him. I don't know why. I think that's just, especially not being able to trade minor leaguers, only guys in your taxi squad or your 40-man roster. 60, yes, 60 player pool, yes. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's another lottery ticket. That's another lottery ticket, right? Clevenger doesn't stay healthy. That's a huge bust. Hmm. Yeah, I think you just think about all like the quote unquote big dogs that were actually like on the market. Lance Lynn, Clevenger, Hader, and who else? That was probably it, huh? Gallo maybe, but I don't think those guys were intriguing enough to get the contenders to come out and actually bid for them. Exactly. Because there's so many more teams competing for a playoff spot. Yeah. Yep. Mhm. No, I'm still excited for the rest of the season and how it plays out. We'll see what teams get hot, what teams cool off. It should be a fun and exciting second half of the season for sure. Yeah, no COVID. We don't want that for many different reasons, right? And for our entertainment, of course. And I'm Christian, and have a great night.